think Bobby's annoying and has the worst? Unprofessional? Unprofessional? Really? Wow, okay, interesting.
I'm saying I don't wanna come down from your love. We'll get lost together, let me find. Don't ever let me come down from your love. From your love. From your love.
Hey guys, it's Bree here. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, and welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. So first of all, before we get into today's video, I just want to say thank you so much for 9K. I hit 9K on the day that I'm recording this video. So to all my new subscribers, hi. I hope you guys like my content so far, and hello to all my OG subscribers that have been here for a while. So today I'm back with another Mnet Kingdom video, and I know a lot of you have subscribed to my channel recently for Kingdom Legendary War content. So I actually made a community post about a week ago, and I made a Google form asking you guys to submit your Kingdom Legendary War unpopular opinions. So in today's video, I'm going to be reading those unpopular opinions, and let me just say, you guys had a lot to say about Kingdom. I got over 100 responses, and I had to close the form early. I did not expect to get so many submissions from you guys, so thanks so much for making this possible. I won't be able to read all of the responses because there are so many, and then at the end of the video I'm going to post a bunch of them so you guys can read them on your own, and then I'll end the video. In this video I'm also going to go over the voting results for round 2 of Kingdom, the Reborn mission, so stay tuned for that as well. So a quick disclaimer before I get into this video. You guys know, if you're not new here, I do these Kingdom videos for fun. My intention is not to drag any of the groups involved or any of the fandoms involved. This is a no fan war zone here. Feel free to comment whether you agree or disagree with any of the unpopular opinions that I'm going to be reading in today's video, but I will not tolerate any hate towards any of the groups or any of the fandoms involved. So if I do see that, I will delete your comment. So now without further ado, let's get right into the video. But before we do, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and thumbs this video up because it helps me a lot. Now let's get right into it. Alright, so before I get into the unpopular opinions, I just want to quickly go over the results for the Reborn mission. So the results of the judge and peer evaluation votes were already revealed last week, but this week we got to see the results for streaming and global fan voting. So in the first column you have judges votes, second column is groups votes, third column is streaming views, and fourth column are the global fan votes. Stray Kids came in number 1 for streaming, followed by iKON, ATEEZ, The Boyz, BTOB, and then last SF9. For global fan votes we have Stray Kids coming in first, The Boyz, BTOB, iKON, SF9, and ATEEZ coming in last. So to be honest with you guys, I wasn't really surprised that Stray Kids came in first for global and fan voting because they have a huge, pretty dedicated fandom. I did notice that The Boyz, I believe they kind of made a comeback as far as getting second in global fan voting. I think last week they might have been last or something like that. They definitely made a comeback, so good for The Boyz. I was kind of disappointed because I am an ATEEZ that ATEEZ came in last for global fan votes, but then again, I know that ATEEZ are a smaller fandom, so they're kind of outmatched as far as that goes. That's about all I'm going to say for the results. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the results for the Reborn mission. Now let's get right into the Kingdom Legendary War unpopular opinions that you guys submitted. Alright, so the first unpopular opinion. The bigger fandoms say stuff like, we work hard to get here. I understand and do not diminish the hard work of every idol, but it can sometimes come as that the groups with bigger fandoms work somehow harder than the ones with smaller fandoms. What I mean is the size of the fandom does not define how talented and hardworking a group is. Yeah, I can kind of understand what you're saying. Some fandoms do have an advantage because they have more people when it comes to streaming and voting. Having a big fandom doesn't necessarily mean that a group is super talented, but like I said, when it comes to Kingdom, if you have a bigger fandom, you will have more pool as far as streaming and global votes. The Stray Kids will always win in the voting and video part of the evaluation. Like, there's nothing wrong if my fandom was that big. We will also try that. What I mean is it doesn't matter what any of these teams perform, Stray Kids will always win in that area. So I don't really remember the results from previous missions, but from what I understand, Stray Kids usually is like in the top 3 or maybe even top 2 as far as global voting and fan voting, which is understandable. They are from JYP, which is one of the biggest K-pop labels, so they have that name, and they also have a lot of fans, plus they're talented. But yeah, when it comes to global fan voting and streaming, they definitely do have an advantage because they do have a larger fandom. I have seen a lot of states in my comments basically saying that yes, we have a bigger fandom, but not a lot of our fans know about Kingdom, so they don't vote. I don't know if that's true or not, but you guys, if you're stay, you can tell me in the comment section. No matter the results, everyone will always disagree, and it will be Mnet's fault, even if it's the other groups voting, for example. Not defending Mnet though, the whole voting system was kind of weirdly planned. Yeah, that's the thing with Kingdom, it is a competition, you will always want your group to win. I'm an ATEEZ, but I try to be as unbiased as possible. For example, for the introductory stage, ATEEZ's performance wasn't my favorite, even though I'm an ATEEZ, so I try to be unbiased. But it is normal to always want to root for your group. And you also point out the group evaluation. Yeah, like we can blame Mnet for a lot of things, like the whole stage budget thing, etc. But when it comes to your faves or other groups voting for the other groups, you really can't blame Mnet for that because the groups are voting. It has nothing to do with the judges or experts in Mnet. So that's a good point. I think ATEEZ performances were a bit messy. They did really good performances, but I feel like their performances were all over the place. I have to disagree. I think ATEEZ has had a pretty consistent theme with all of their performances. All of the storylines are kind of connected. And also, if you know anything about ATEEZ's lore or the storyline behind their music, you would know that everything kind of coincides and makes sense. As far as messy, I would say out of all of the groups, I would say they are one of the groups that has the most easy to follow storyline with their performances. I don't really know what you mean by messy or what you mean by they're all over the place, but I have to disagree. Also, the Boyz Road to Kingdom performances were so far better than the Kingdom ones. The intro, Sword to Victory, was jaw-dropping. The first round, No Air, disappointed me. So I haven't seen all of Road to Kingdom, but I have seen some of the performances from the boys, and from what I saw, they were amazing. I think there was one performance where the boys were like lifted on top of these swords or platforms or something. That was amazing. I do remember that from Road to Kingdom. As far as the first round, No Air, I'm actually surprised because I loved their No Air performance. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, so I've been really digging the boys' Game of Thrones storylines throughout this whole competition. I loved the POV in that performance. I think Stray Kids deserve the 5th place because they made a mistake, and in the midst of so many incredible presentations, any mistake can make the group lose points. I don't understand why all the commotion of the stage because of that. Yeah, so I do know what you're talking about. When they were performing in the Reborn mission, I.N kind of had a little technical error with his voice. His voice quote unquote cracked and he was really upset about it. Personally, I thought that the performance was incredible despite that, even though I did notice that I.N's voice cracked. And the thing is, we really don't know how the judges vote as far as what criteria they use. I understand why Mnet doesn't reveal who the judges are because we know how K-pop fans can be. They would maybe get some backlash from fans based on how they voted. But it would be nice to know what criteria they used to vote, or just for the judges to somehow give the hosts of the show an overview of why they voted like they did. It would be really interesting and we would be able to see where the experts are coming from. But I do kind of agree with you on the fact that the experts did probably have to look at that error and compare it to the other groups that might not have made any mistakes like that, or at least noticeable mistakes. So I think you do have a good point, and any of you guys, if you disagree, feel free to explain in the comments if you think that Stray Kids shouldn't have been judged on that. Personally, I don't know if Stray Kids should have received 5th place. I still think the performance was amazing, but I do understand, like I said, why the judges might have taken that into consideration. I feel like Mnet is dogging the boys out with the expert voting. I also feel as though groups are purposely not voting for them in pure votes because they were the kings, so to speak. The boys deliver at least top 3 performances every week, only to be discredited by fans of other groups whose performances weren't of that standard. They weren't bad, they just weren't at the boys level. I honestly wish they had retired from Mnet shows after Road to Kingdom, but that wouldn't make any sense. It just hurts to see them struggling so much. Side note, I don't stand them. I actually don't stand any of the groups in the show. I just love their performances, so when I see fans calling their performance boring, I'm like, where? Yeah, I kind of agree with you because like I said, I'm an ATEEZ. I don't really stand the boys, but I do really like some of their music and I live for their performances every week. Like I said, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, so I usually kind of get where they're coming from as far as their storylines behind their performances, and I really appreciate that they give us a lot with storyline. They give us a lot with the camera work, the styling. I loved O Sole Mio, so I was shocked when the other groups didn't vote for them because I thought it was amazing. Like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, it was about the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. I loved the tango theme. I loved the choreography. The boys to me are the top dogs, but I will say last week the experts I believe gave the boys 2nd place, so they didn't dog them last week. But I do wonder if the other groups aren't voting them because they are the biggest competition and because they did win last season. Some groups might see them as a threat, so that's a really good point. Once again, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I honestly think that the choreo is so centered towards Juyeon, Hyunjae, and Sunwoo that the other members barely get any lines or screen time. Okay, so this is another opinion about the boys. From what I understand, I think Juyeon is the visual. I'm not sure, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, and I think he's one of the main dancers, so it does kind of make sense that they would kind of center him as far as the performances. And I do notice that Hyunjae and Sunwoo do get a lot of lines too. Dobies, let me know, is that normal for most of the boys' performances or songs as far as lines and screen time? let me know. But it would be nice to see more from some of the other members as well, especially from someone who's not that familiar with the boys. It would be nice to see more of the members. Fan voting should not be a large portion of the overall votes. It's obvious that the bigger the fandom, the bigger the votes. The 3-group vote rule doesn't matter. I would say this about streaming, but I guess it makes sense that it only accounts for like 10% though. I totally agree with this. To me, it's crazy that fan voting takes up 40% of the points. Okay, that means that smaller fan bases like ATEEZ, for example, or even SF9 will always be at a disadvantage when it comes to bigger groups like Stray Kids or even the boys. They have a lot to compete with, and to me it's really not fair. I do think that fan voting should account for some of the points, just because as fans watching we want to feel like we have some power in who wins, or we want to support our groups. But I do think that the 40% thing is a little unfair. If anything, I think it should be 20%. What do you guys think? Comment below. The group shouldn't have been in the bottom. I blame Mnet. The stake for that is so annoying. Like, it's a competition, so what do you expect? If you want to say that a particular group didn't deserve to be in the bottom, then don't go directly blaming Mnet and instead say the name of the group that you think deserved to be in that bottom placement. Fan wars will surely happen, but again, it's a competition. We should at least be thankful that no group is going to be eliminated, I think. By the way, I love your content. Thank you so much, and I do agree with you. As fans, we're always going to root for our faves and hope that they win, but at the end of the day, it is a competition, so it's important to not get too bent out of shape if your favorite group doesn't do well in one round or one performance. I'm also really glad that no one gets eliminated, because it makes it easier to kind of swallow. If your favorite group doesn't do well one week, you don't have to worry about them getting eliminated from the show. So to me, that makes it a little bit more enjoyable to watch, and you would think that would kind of cut down on the amount of fan wars, but apparently not. I don't really engage in fan wars, but I've heard there's been a lot of craziness on Twitter. I tend to stay away from that. I am on Twitter, but I don't engage in any of the fan wars. I feel like a lot of us are holding the boys up to a different higher standard because of the road to Kingdom. Yeah, I totally agree. Because the boys won, I think a lot of us expect them to do the most every time, and in my opinion, they do really well. So I do think that sometimes people might be taking their performances for granted based on the fact that they won last season. That ATEEZ won thanks to their props is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. They could perform only Hala Hala with nothing and no one on stage besides ATEEZ members, and they would still win against other groups. Yeah, that's the thing. The whole ATEEZ and their props thing, I think that's really silly, because in the first stage, ATEEZ had like no props in the introductory stage, I think it was called. And if you know anything about ATEEZ, you know that ATEEZ has crazy stage presence. Like, they are amazing. If ATEEZ is one thing, they're good performers, and I think that's why they've been doing so well with the experts in this season of Kingdom. If you haven't seen ATEEZ perform Hala Hala yet, if you're not an ATEEZ, you're not familiar with it, watch that. It will blow your mind. The music video is just them dancing. Like, that's it. There's not really any props or anything. So ATEEZ is definitely not a group that relies on props, but because, you know, Mnet raised the budget and they're allowed to have props, they should be able to use props just like every other group. So I agree with you on that one. I don't think this is an unpopular opinion, but I would just wish that more members from groups got spotlight, you know? Like, I feel like certain members are sort of like the main characters and the others don't get to shine as much, even though they are super talented. I just think that if a group has 2 or more main and or lead dancers, vocalists, rappers, they shouldn't just utilize one forgetting about the others. Newer fans may even mistake their positions or overlook some members because of the unequal line dance break distribution. No hate to the members carrying the stages though. I just wish we got to see some more people often. Yeah, I definitely notice what you're talking about, how some members get more screen time or lines than other members. For example, just off the top of my head, Yeosang from ATEEZ, we like never ever see him, maybe for like a few seconds during the performances and during the actual episode. I love San, but to me it seems like San and Hongjung are like the main characters in Kingdom. Also, we see Songhwa and Wooyoung a lot. We also don't even really see Hyunjae that much. We do see Jongho because he always does the high notes in the performances, but I definitely do notice the disparity between certain members of groups not getting as much screen time, and I do think that's a downside, like you said, especially someone that might be new to a group. It kind of disables them from getting to know all of the members more. So I do notice that, and it's really unfair. Okay, so I don't know why, but I didn't like the BTOB performance in Reborn. I didn't hate it, but for some reason I found it a little boring. I really don't know why. I've rewatched it a couple times and it doesn't grow on me. I've seen lots of people, including Kingdom groups, really liking it, and I don't know why I can't. I still love BTOB. Yeah, so I totally get where you're coming from. I did like BTOB's spin on the song Backdoor, but I did find the performance a little bit boring. I did like the concept of being backstage and having VIP access, and then with the title of the song Backdoor, but for me the members spent way too much time backstage. It was just kind of boring. They were kind of walking around a lot. The vocals were on point, but for me, the fact that they're up against all these other groups that are so performance heavy, I feel like if they solely focus on vocals, it does put them at a disadvantage, and I feel like that's what's been happening in every round. Now, to me, the highlight of that performance was the end when they came to the main stage. They did some choreo, but it still kind of fell flat to me, even though I wanted to like it, so I do get where you're coming from as well. I'm tired of K-pop stans thinking they're whole vocal coaches when it comes to Jongho of ATEEZ. Real vocal coaches and people who study vocal technique have said time and time again that he has amazing technique. Also, y'all don't have the energy for everyone else. When the vocal performances of Stray Kids, who's a group with satisfactory vocals at best, ouch, in round 2 was mediocre, people were saying it doesn't matter, the voice cracks made it emotional. But when Jongho sings right, sings perfectly, he becomes Stan Twitter's punching bag. Make it make sense, y'all. You're hating on the best 4th gen boy group vocalist for literally no reason. Your own faves have praised him. BTOB vocal kings have praised him. What more do y'all want? Yeah, I do kind of see how there's a double standard because yes, Jongho, like his voice is very strong. He's able to hit really high notes and he is intense when he does that. So maybe some people feel that the way he belts to hit those high notes might be a little unnerving to them personally, but you can't really take away from him that he can really sing. He has incredible range, and I do consider him to be one of the best 4th gen vocalists as well. So yeah, like I don't know why he gets so much backlash. I did see a lot of stays defending I.N, which is fine, but a lot of them were denying that the voice crack happened, which was really weird to me because I'm not a vocal expert or a music expert, but I heard it and even I.N heard it. That's why he was upset. But I had a lot of stays in my comments saying he didn't make a mistake, he did it on purpose, and I was kind of like, then why was he upset? And not all stays, a lot of stays were like, yeah, he made a mistake, but mistakes happen. And yeah, things happen when you're singing live. For me personally, I was just happy that Stray Kids were singing live and you could hear their vocals over the backtrack vocals, but that's just me. I think that Bobby has the worst stage presence. He looks so unprofessional. I feel sorry for the other iKON members. He is like always making weird noises in the back. Stop, it's ruining the stage. Stage presence does not equal doing random shit on stage. Wow. So I have to admit, like, I'm taken aback by this comment. I'm not an iconic or anything, but I like iKON's music and I like Bobby. I don't think he's annoying at all. I think his stage presence is amazing, and if you watch Kingdom, even the other members of different groups really look up to him. He is a rapper, so he does a lot of ad-libs and he does have that like YG hip-hop style, but I think he brings a lot to the performances. That's just me. If you guys disagree, feel free to comment below, but wow. Ooh, you think Bobby's annoying and has the worst? Unprofessional? Unprofessional? Really? Wow, okay, interesting. People only question the expert evaluation results because ATEEZ keeps winning a lot, lol. Just say you're salty and move on. The experts are kept anonymous, so hateful stans that don't like the results can't harass them and companies won't bribe them. If the expert evaluations were rigged, why does ATEEZ keep getting 4th place in fan votes? The easiest thing to rig is the fan votes, and I'd never say it was rigged to invalidate another group's success. I'd suggest some of y'all stop with this sort of rhetoric because it makes you look like you don't trust in your fave's talent. You guys might think I'm biased for saying this because I'm an ATEEZ, but I'm not. If you've watched my videos, you've seen that I don't always rank ATEEZ in 1st place. I go by which performance I think was the best, and I have to say, the last 2 rounds, I think ATEEZ totally deserved 1st place in expert voting. Like I said, their storylines were amazing, their rearrangement of the songs they did were amazing. Hyunjae and Eden are like really musical geniuses, and I've loved what they've done with incorporating classical music into their rearrangements of the songs they've been assigned. And when it comes to the performance and their stage presence, ATEEZ just has it. They just have this fire, and I think that's why people are drawn to ATEEZ. They just have amazing stage presence. They put on a good performance. Their storyline has been consistent. They're going with the concept that is a continuous like storyline throughout their music. So I think the experts notice little details like that ATEEZ puts in their performance, and they really appreciate it, and that's why they've been 1st place in the last couple weeks or so. Not saying the other groups aren't talented, because they definitely are, but I do see why the experts voted that way. Just like I saw why the experts voted the boys in 2nd place for the Reborn mission, I really thought that they deserved it as well because I thought their performance was so amazing all around, and I was really surprised that the other groups didn't vote for them. Can people stop underestimating SF9? I just don't get why people are bashing and hating on them. I'm not forcing people to like them, but can they just keep the hate to themselves? Actually, this involves all groups. Just keep the hate to yourself and not to the groups. SF9 are so talented that I want to cry. If you're willing to give them a chance, then I will assure you that they are funny and talented and all the songs are so good. I hope people can realize that all groups are so talented and none of them are below. So to my point, stop underestimating SF9. Phew, I'm all good now. Well, thank you for reading this. Hope I was not annoying from a fantasy. Yeah, I definitely think people are underestimating SF9. I loved their Now or Never performance. I actually looked up the theory behind it, how it was kind of inspired from the movie Perfume and how the concept was them stealing each other's beauty. I thought that was so different and such an amazing concept, and I thought it was executed really well. So I was really surprised when I saw a lot of people didn't think the performance was that great. I think they're super talented. I don't know all of the members, but specifically Taeyang sticks out the most to me. I think he's an amazing dancer, a great performer. I'm always drawn to like watching him when they perform, and I think they did a really good job in the Reborn mission as well. I think a lot of people do underestimate them and they focus on the boys, ATEEZ, and Stray Kids a lot, but SF9 is super talented too, and I hope that this show gives them more exposure and people check them out, because even though I don't stand SF9, I like a lot of their songs, like Enough, Now or Never, RPM, Good Guy. I like a lot of their title tracks, so definitely check out SF9 if you haven't already. Is it just me, or did the Boyz Red Wedding stage feel like a festival towards the end? Like it's supposed to be a massacre, but then comes in the golden confetti and the backup dancers with their flourishes like Wham Bam. Absolutely no hate because I loved the song. A teeny bit sad they didn't keep the smooth guitar in though. Yeah, so I do agree with you with the confetti at the end. I think you're talking about the part where Juyeon kind of slides on the floor and then there's all this confetti around him. I do know what you're talking about, and it was kind of like, oh, okay, we're celebrating. But then again, maybe they were putting a spin on the fact that it is still a wedding, but no, I kind of agree with you on that. I do think the performance was amazing, but I do know the guitar that you're talking about in O Sole Mio, and I think that part of it, that part of the song gives the song a Latin vibe, and it would have been nice if they kept that in, especially since they are doing the tango. So I do kind of agree with you on that. So I saw some people say that it was rude to video Jongin or I.N's interview when he was crying, but honestly the producers kind of have to make content, right? Like they need a story to put on screen. I don't really think it was exploitive or anything, and we don't know how he felt either, but it is a survival show, and I'm pretty sure the artists know what they're getting into. Really, if they didn't put that in, the audience wouldn't have known how devastated he actually was, right? Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of stays felt like Mnet was exploiting Jongin or I.N, but I just saw it as storytelling as well, just like they show when groups are kind of having difficulty practicing. They're just telling the story, and although that was a vulnerable moment that I.N had, we also got to see how Bang Chan comforted him off camera, and how after that whole scene all the other members were talking to the camera and they all encouraged him and basically said that, oh, it's okay, you did great, etc. So I just, to me, like, I'm not a stay, but that made me feel like, oh, I.N is so adorable, he's like the maknae, and it gives you like some of his personality, and it kind of tells you who he is, how he's really hardworking, and how he's really self-critical of himself, and he felt like he let his other members down. So to me, that's like character development. It makes you feel like you're actually watching a person and not a character on a show. So I thought that that was good that Mnet included that. I didn't think it was a bad thing, but I think a lot of stays might have been defensive because I.N made a mistake, and maybe they just didn't want any of that in the episode. So those are all of the unpopular opinions that I'll be able to get to today. I'm so sorry guys, but I had so many I can't read all of them, but I will insert some more unpopular opinions on the screen here. Guys, thank you so much for participating. It's been so much fun reading all of your submissions. I'm sorry that I couldn't get to all of them. So if I didn't read or show your unpopular opinion on the screen, feel free to comment your unpopular opinions below. Thanks so much for watching, and if you liked this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It would really help me out, and stay tuned for more Kingdom content. I'm really looking forward to next episode. It looks like we're gonna get a vocal, dance, and rap stage. I did see the previews for that. It looks like it's gonna be amazing, so I can't wait. So stay tuned. I will be back with another Mnet Kingdom video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
You like it, like it, like it, like it, like it, like it.